Hello everyone, my name is Imran and welcome to the Generative AI series. So in this series, we'll be discussing everything about Generative AI, that too from scratch. And if you want to learn the Generative AI, LLMs and other concepts, okay, then you are at the right place. So let me just share you some of the prerequisites. Okay, so before getting started, so what I suggest is if you know a bit of Python programming or you know the basics of machine learning and deep learning, so then this series will be easy for you to understand. So in case if you are exploring the generative AI for the first time, so some of the technical terms and the keywords will be difficult for you to understand. Okay, so you can just learn those concepts first, okay, and just get started with the generative AI, because you directly cannot learn the generative AI concepts. And so in this series we'll keep most of this stuff practical. Okay, so even I'll try my best to explain all the concepts in much simpler way by taking some examples and doing a lot of demos. Okay, so let's get started. So first, let's try to understand what is generative AI. Okay, first let's see some of the applications. Okay, so if I don't want to give the random definition. Okay, so this is what the meaning of generative AI is. So let's start with the applications. Okay, I hope nowadays like you have come across many such AI applications, right? So whatever the applications right now using, okay, so everywhere there is AI integrated. Let's take the applications which you're using in your phone, right? So I hope you have Facebook, or maybe you are using the WhatsApp or Instagram. Okay, so I hope you have seen the LLMs which is being integrated. Okay, so what I mean is, so if you open the Instagram or the Facebook, okay, so you can see something called Meta AI. Okay, so where you can ask some of the questions, you can just chat. Okay, literally like it's like an AI chatbot. Okay, right, where you can just interact and ask any questions. Okay, so basically you will be able to see the data, okay, that is being generated in real time, right? So these are some of the applications. Okay, so I hope you have seen this. Okay, if not, you can just go and check the WhatsApp or even the Instagram or the Facebook. Okay, so you can just see this kind of AI chatbots. If not this, if you are from the academics or the person who are into IT, I hope you know about the chat GPT, right? So it is an AI chatbot, okay, which was very popular. Even today, even that is very popular, right? Most of the people use the OpenAI. And apart from that, okay, that's from the OpenAI company. Okay, so you apart from that, okay, so we have the different companies as well who has the AI chatbots like Google, right? So we have the Gemini, okay, we have Bart, okay, we have many such LLMs, basically the AI chatbots. If not this, okay, I hope you have heard about the OK Google, right? So in case you want to interact anything over the voice, right? So you can just give a command. If you have the Android phones, you can say OK Google. Okay, so then of course you're able to connect with that. Okay, so I have the iPhone. Okay, let's say like I have the Siri. Let me just talk. Let's see if I'm able to find something. Hey Siri. Um, hey Siri. How are you? Hey Siri. Okay, just a second. Okay. Hey Siri, can you tell me the weather in Bangalore? Okay, so it's basically displaying the weather in my phone actually. Okay. Hey Siri, can you tell me a joke? Okay, so even is displaying the joke in my phone actually. Okay. Hey Siri, can you tell me something? Okay, so it's telling, sorry, I don't understand. Okay, basically the Siri is not talking much. Okay, okay, so we have Alexa, right? So basically, Alexa is where you can just interact with the chatbot, right? I mean, like basically you're able to connect through that device, and you can even interact with that particular device, right? So such way, I think like we have the OK Google and many such applications. Okay, so that's some of the application I just wanted to tell you right now, the environment which we stay in, right? So we have the AI actually. Okay, so everywhere. So apart from this, I hope you have used Amazon and Flipkart, right? So you have seen the recommendation systems. Okay, what is the meaning of a recommendation systems? So recommendations basically like if you're purchasing some items, okay, you can see a separate section there. Okay, the people who buy this, even they purchase this also, right? So it's basically recommending the products, okay, similar products. Okay, so if not Amazon, okay, I hope you have account in Amazon Prime or Netflix, okay. So even you can see the recommended movies, okay. So I have just highlighted here. Can you see here, like of the Prime movies we think you like, right? So it's basically recommending some of the movies based on your watch history, right? And so of course driverless cars, okay, it's not in India, but yes, in some of the developed countries, okay, we have the driverless cars, right? Which is able to drive the car, okay, without human intervention, okay. And even not only in this industries, okay, even in the fashion industries, okay, if you open the Mintra or any such apps, okay, the fashion apps, okay, so you can able to find some of the AI features in that. And apart from that, okay, so if you have heard about the Amazon Go, so which is basically an offline store, okay, so where you can just enter the store and try purchasing anything, okay, just walk out. I mean, like there is no check-in, I mean, like there is no checkout, I mean, like there's no billing queue, okay, so where you need to stand and you need to pay the bill and check out, right? It's not like that, okay, just enter the shop and purchase whatever you want, and you will automatically that is basically integrated with AI, okay, where the checkout will automatically happen, okay. So there is a lot of videos with respect to Amazon Go, you can just watch those, okay. And apart from that, so I hope you have heard about the Mid Journey, right? So where you can just generate the images, okay, which is also popular, okay. You can even to generate the images, and so apart from that, the language translations, okay. We have the Sora model, okay, which is right now it's in testing mode, okay. So which basically create a video from text, okay. Not only Sora, there are other LMs, okay, right now, which is not that good generations, okay. So like for example video generations from the text, but the Open has promised that there is one of the model called Sora, okay, so which will be released soon. Right now it's in testing phase, so from where we can just generate a video from the text prompts, okay. So what I mean to say, there are other LLMs also, but it's not good as of now. So next, apart from that, the fraud detections, okay, so which is being integrated in the banking section. So if you try to observe, like irrespective of whatever the domain is, okay, we have the AI applications everywhere, okay. So like Sophia, it's the first human robot, right? So which is completely implementing the AGI, that is artificial general intelligence, right? So even it's basically touching the super intelligence, okay, where it has the emotions as well, right? So these are the applications of not generative AI, generally the AI part. So now let's focus in some of the specific domain, okay. For example, if I take finance, I hope you have applied for loan, right? So this is how the loan process looks nowadays. We'll just, if you want a loan, you try go to the loan portal, okay, you try to enter all your details like CIBIL score and whatever the basic details is, okay. So then automatically the data is being passed somewhere at the back end, okay. So of course there is some kind of analytics, okay, where the automatic fetching of your CIBIL score and everything will happen, okay. Then based on your credit history, okay, so then automatically it can be approved or denied, okay. So this box is basically deciding whether you should get a loan or not, okay. So there is some kind of AI which is being implemented through this process. So it's in the finance, even in the healthcare, okay. So if you have wearing some devices like wearable device, okay, so like if you want to track your health, okay, number of steps you walk, and there are so many parameters, right? So you can just, if you want to keep track of that, of course you have the apps, okay, so where you can just see like number of steps you have walked, the calories you have burned, okay. So all those information can be tracked over your dashboard, okay, in your phone. So that data is basically this is how the flow is, right? So whatever the device you're wearing, so based on the sensors, okay, it will just transfer those data to the data centers, okay, or servers, right? So where all this magic happens, and finally able to see all this content or dashboard in your phone, and finally make some kind of decisions, right? So this is kind of an AI, okay, so implemented in the healthcare, okay. This is one of the example, okay. And so generally what I mean to say is AI is everywhere, okay. So irrespective of whatever the domain you are in, so whether it's health, care, transport, agriculture, education, e-commerce, entertainment, okay, robotics, automotive, social media platform, data security, and the finance, okay. So AI is everywhere. So now what is AI? Okay, so before getting into generative AI, so first we need to understand what is AI, okay. So if you want to define the AI, okay, so I can just say that AI is mimicking the human behavior, okay. So whatever the task is done by the human, okay, so now it's done by the machines, okay. So like whatever the applications right now have shown you, okay, so same way there is no human intervention, okay. So automatically it's done by a machine. When I say machine, is some part of code, okay, so that is being implemented at the back end, right? So what is AI? So AI is just can say a technique, okay, so which mimics the human behavior. So within the AI, okay, so we have the ML, okay, that's we call as a machine learning, right? So machine learning, you can just define the machine learning as a collection of tools and techniques, right? So that transforms the data into decisions by making a classifications or quantitative predictions. It's a lot of definition. Fine. So as I told you, so AI is just a broader umbrella, okay? So where all the applications which you saw, okay, it comes under the AI, okay? So which is mimicking the human behavior. So within the AI, okay, we have the different techniques and tools, okay? So one of the technique is machine learning. So because whatever the AI applications you're gonna build, okay, so there is some data integrated with that, right? So because we need a data. So what is data? It's just a factor information, right? So that is being collected from the various data sources. So data can come from any place, okay? So whether it's sensors, whether it's the web applications or Android devices. So whatever the applications you saw, actually there is some data involved, right? So using that particular data, because data is a hero in all our AI applications, okay? So without data, of course, we have not reached up to this level. So data is very important factor in any of the application. So using the data, okay, so there is a technique called machine learning. So what is machine learning now? So machine learning is basically a collection of many tools and techniques that transform the data into some kind of decisions, okay? So what kind of decisions? So we have the data, so we're gonna transform that particular data to make some decisions. So for example, I showed you these examples, right? Like healthcare, okay, so where we're making some kind of decisions based on the dashboard, whatever the information I'm getting on the dashboard, or the finance application, right? So here I'm able to make some kind of decisions. So what kind of decision I can make? So we can make a classification or predictions, okay? So if you have learned about the machine learning, so I hope you know what is supervised and supervised learning, semi-supervised, okay, these are the prerequisites. I believe you know the basics of what actually the machine learning is. So if you don't know, okay, just we have the data, we are transforming the data to make some kind of classifications or to make some kind of predictions. So what is meaning of classifications? Of course, like you can say, like there is some kind of a model or algorithm which basically detects whether you have certain disease or not, okay? So if you have such application, so it's we are implementing on machine learning there, okay? So it comes under the classification model. So what are the predictions? In case you have already some data and you're trying to predict the tomorrow's temperature. Assume like you have a lot of temperatures details, okay, and you want to predict next week's temperature or whatever the temperature is, okay, tomorrow's temperature or next hour temperature, okay? So we can able to predict based on the existing data, okay? If you're doing such kind of predictions, it comes under the quantitative, okay? So you can see like regression problems or everything comes under this quantitative predictions. So yes, this is AI, and within the AI we have the machine learning. So now, so this is what the technique I was talking about, okay? So in the machine learning we have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, then we have the neural networks, right? So deep learning concepts, reinforcement learning, okay? So if you're getting into some specific technique like supervised, so again we have a regression problem and classification problem, and under that we have many such algorithms here, right? And if we are into unsupervised, okay, so where we don't have the output label, okay, it comes under the generally in the unsupervised learning technique. So you have the clustering, okay, association rule learning, okay, dimensionality reduction. So these are the different techniques which comes under the machine learning. And so these are just 10 techniques, okay, just to summarize. So we have the linear models. What are linear models? The models that, when I say models, basically some kind of algorithm which is being implemented, right? So models that assume a linear relationship between the inputs and outputs, like linear regression. So the temperature example, or you can just consider this house price predictions, okay, everything comes under the linear models. So next we have tree-based models, okay, SVMs, okay, nearest neighbor models. So all these are different categories, you can say different modeling techniques in the machine learning. So next we have the deep learning, okay, which is basically a subset of machine learning now. So we have the AI, okay, so which mimics the human behavior, and we have the machine learning, which is basically a tools and technique where we transform the data into classification or regression problems, right? Or quantitative predictions. So it comes under the machine learning. So now we have a deep learning. So what is deep learning? It's a subset of machine learning. So here we are making a changes in the learning technique, because so whatever the models we had in the machine learning, right? So those models was based on the statistics, okay, so the training process and everything. But now I want to make a machines to understand or learn how the humans learn, okay? So basically here we have a concept of neurons, okay? So like for example, if there is a small baby, okay, how the baby learns, okay, by seeing the environment and just by seeing a hearing, okay, basically the baby sees the actions, okay, so what the adults do, okay, so through that particular process the baby learns, okay. So same process, okay, it's being implemented in the deep learning. So here we are just making a changes in the learning process, okay, so we are making a machines to learn how the humans learn, okay, like the neuron concepts. So that's what the deep learning is. So deep learning is a type of machine learning that uses artificial neural networks, okay. So artificial neural networks is basically kind of a network which mimics the neurons in the brain, right? So which basically artificial neural networks to teach the computers to process data in a way such that it mimics the human brain, okay. So this is what the deep learning is. So now, so next we have something called natural language processing. So I was talking about the data, right? So data, okay. So data, of course, within the data, there are a lot of categories. We have structured data, unstructured data, okay. So when I talk about the structured data, we are dealing with respect to the SQL data kind of database, okay, or Excel format, okay. So where the data is just represented in terms of rows and columns. We have the tables, okay. So we have some kind of scheme, okay, where a human can easily understand, but just by looking at the data, okay. So all those categories comes under structured data. So now we have something called unstructured data. What is unstructured here? So unstructured basically kind of video data, audio data, or the textbooks or the text data. Okay, so all those are unstructured. Of course, they can't group that particular into some kind of tables or in terms of rows and columns. Okay, so all those data comes under the unstructured. So now whatever the trainings or whatever the models I was building, okay, so somewhere it was of more related to the structured data. When I say structured, okay, we have the rows and columns, okay, we convert that into data frames using pandas, okay, we're going to train the model, okay, so everything happens, okay. But what if now we have, because in the real time when you're dealing, okay, so even if you're whatever the social media platforms you're right now using it, okay, so everywhere we're generating unstructured data, right? So we're writing the comments, okay, we're liking the post, okay, in the Twitter we share our opinions, okay, there are a lot of things happening, okay, over the social media platform. Not only social media platform, if you take any of the applications, okay, there are a lot of unstructured data that's being generated, okay, images, pics, music, okay, audio, video, there are a lot of things, okay, unstructured data. So now we need to process that, because so whatever the applications right now are seeing, so somewhere they all those things is all the data is being processed through the unstructured data, right? So we need a model, okay, which can understand the unstructured data, okay, can process that, okay. So where the models can understand the human language, right? So if we specifically talk about the text, like I showed you some of the applications like AI chatbot, okay, so where the machine can understand the human language, right? So if I try to speak in Hindi, Kannada, or Tamil, or whatever the languages, so it Siri can understand that, right? So even if you talk to Alexa, right? So even you can just change the settings, okay? So where you can just talk in Kannada or any other languages in the regional languages. So that is possible because of a technique, okay? So that's called natural language processing. So it's basically kind of, you can say, a branch, okay, or a technique. So where again we have different models here, okay? It's a different story, okay? So where the data is all about the textual, okay? When I say textual, it could be any textual data or the conversational data. Okay, there are a lot of applications in natural language processing. Like I showed you in some of the applications, right? So like text conversion, language translation, okay, or the Siri or the AI chatbot. So everything comes under the actually in this specific domain called natural language processing. So in simple terms, it uses everything. Okay, it uses deep learning, machine learning, and of course it comes under the AI branch, right? So here we are dividing this. I mean, like this natural language processing in terms of the data, okay, because we know like what is machine learning, what is deep learning now, and what is NLP. It's basically kind of a technique, so where we are building the models, where the models can understand the human language, okay, and process that, and so we can build some beautiful applications like chatbots and translations, okay, text classification, sentiment analysis, okay, so everything can be done using the natural language processing. And yes, so now, so this is what the natural language processing is. And just a pause, I just wanted to tell you, so sometimes I speak very fast, okay, you can just change the speed, okay, based on your understanding. So if you're finding this is too speed, okay, you can just reduce the which have the in the YouTube, okay, so where you can just reduce the speed, right? So you can just reduce it, or if you're okay with that, then you can continue. And yes, so it takes a lot of hard work, okay. So if you are liking it, okay, you can just please subscribe my channel, and so it will be a motivation for me also, okay, to add the videos, okay, regularly, okay. Yes, okay, let's continue. So now we understood what is AI, what is machine learning, what is deep learning, and what is natural language processing in the broader terms. So now what is generative AI? Okay, so if you see the diagram, okay, it's overlapping between the deep learning and the natural language processing. So when I started, so I just told you, so this is what is the prerequisite you want to understand the generative AI, right? So directly you can't jump into generative AI because we need some of the concepts which is coming from the deep learning as well as natural language processing. Okay, so generative AI is basically overlap between the deep learning and natural language processing. To understand the deep learning, of course, we need a machine learning. Okay, so understand the natural language processing, we need the deep learning as well as the machine learning. So this is what an overlap is. Okay, so now what is generative AI? Okay, so before getting into generative AI, okay, so I'm just showing you in a diagram where the generative AI actually fits. Okay, so this is where it fits, and so if I want to replace this with the LLMs, okay, even the LLMs also fits here. Okay, so whenever I'm talking about the generative AI or LLMs, both are same. Okay, because so within the generative AI, we are implementing the LLMs, that is the large language models, okay, which we'll be discussing in our upcoming videos. So now these are different diagrams, okay, so just to understand the various techniques. So we have the data science, okay, it's basically a branch, okay, so where we are converting the data into some meaningful information. It's a different story, okay, so where you need to have the domain knowledge. Whenever someone says like I'm a data scientist, okay, basically they are into some data science department, so where they are working on this machine learning or various techniques, okay, so and even they have the domain expertise within that. Okay, if we try to combine those things, that's what the data science is. Fine, so this is what one of the technique, okay, which basically I just wanted to show you, okay, where the data science fits actually. Fine, and yes, so now we'll understand what is generative AI. So whatever the applications you saw, okay, in some of the applications when I started, so there was a data that is being generated. Okay, so you can define the generative AI as a machine learning model, okay, that generate a new content. Very simple definition. Okay, so whatever the application you're using, okay, for example chat GPT or the mid journey, okay, or we have the DALI, right? So these are the different, you can say LLMs or the AI applications or chatbots, which is basically generating the different type of content. So best example is Google Gemini, right? So so that's basically generate some new content. Let me just show that. So if I just go here and just type here Google Gemini. So let me just open that. So this is a chat, right? So here I can just generate some new data. So if I just ask you like what is the current news, okay, so is able to fetch some of the latest news, right? So I'm in Bangalore, so you can see automatically it is trying to show some of the news even from the Bangalore. I don't know if this hot breaking news or so I'm able to see some of the news, okay, which is actually today's news. Okay, when I read the newspaper, and this is what the today's top news is. Fine, so this is actually generating some new data, right? So even if I just ask some of the programming questions, like write simple Python program. I'm not giving any program specifically. I'm just telling like write a simple Python program. It's writing the hello world, right? So you can see it's able to generate the data. Okay, so it is basically generating the data. So now what is a generative AI? So generative AI is basically a machine learning model or a technique, okay, that generate a new content, right? So here, so before getting into this, and let me just show you the definition. Okay, let's add the Gemini. Okay, so what does this say? Okay, so if I just ask what is generative GENERATE or generative AI. Okay, so let's ask. You can see, so generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that create various forms of content, including text, images, audio, and synthetic data. So in the definition, I told that a generative AI is kind of a machine learning model that generated new content. So what kind of content? So it could be some textual. Okay, so right now whatever I'm generating here, it was a textual data. So not only textual, even it can generate images, okay, like mid journey, right? So even it can generate some kind of audio. Okay, there are various applications. So wherever the data is being generated, okay, the new content, so those things comes under the generative AI concepts, right? So you can see here it's same thing, right? So it can create various forms of content. So it could include the text, it could include the images, audio, even the synthetic data, right? So it's like having a creative AI assistant that can generate new ideas, designs, and even stories. Okay, so this is how we define the generative AI. So now During the concepts, okay, while explaining the concepts, we hear a word called models, okay. So even like machine learning models. So in the machine learning models, we know like those things are algorithms, right? So like linear regression, polynomial regression, we have SVM, decision trees. So all those are models actually, basically, and algorithms or math behind that, okay, which basically help us to build some kind of applications, ML applications, right? So similarly, so when the generative AI, whenever I'm referring to the model, it kind of LLMs, okay. What is LLMs? We'll be discussing that in our upcoming videos. But in simple terms, it's kind of can say large language models. Okay, so that particular model is helping us to generate a new data. Okay, so these are the some of the AI open AI models. Okay, so we have the Chat GPT-4. Or GPT-4 or Mini, okay, so DALI, okay, so there are the different models, and you can see like these models are whatever the models right now saying, it has a different purpose. For example, if you just check here DALI-E, it's basically telling it's a model that can generate and edit the images given a natural language prompt. So you'll just enter your prompt. So what is the prompt here? That basically a message which is sending basically it's a message which you are sending to a LLM, okay, to generate some kind of data. So whatever the I just spoke to Gemini, right? So this was the actually the prompt, okay, in simple terms. Fine. So we'll be discussing what is prompts, okay. We'll even learn the prompt engineering as well. But this is what the prompt is, okay. I'm telling what is generative, okay. So this is what the message, or you can say the information which I want to get from the LLM, okay. So that is basically a prompt. This DALI is basically is used to generate or edit images. So you have the Whisper. What is Whisper? So Whisper is basically a model that can convert the audio into text. Okay, this specific use case. Okay, and so this model like GPT-4. So this is comes under the GPT plus subscriptions. Okay. So here we have, this is basically a high intelligence flagship model for the complex and multi-step task. So then we have, you can see like you can just go through, okay. So in the OpenAI website, or even we'll be understanding what is OpenAI in detail in upcoming videos. But just to keep it simple, because whenever I'm referring to the models, this is what the models I'm referring to, okay. Not only this, it is from the OpenAI, whether it could be any models across, okay, over the by the different companies, okay, whether it's OpenAI, Google, or Meta, or any other company, fine. So yes, so this kind of models, okay, so whatever the models right now saying, this is specifically from the OpenAI, okay. So there are open source models, okay. So if we get into the Hugging Face, okay, which again we'll be learning in detail. So Hugging Face is basically a platform, okay, so where you can find open source models, okay. Some of the models are private, so of course we can access that using the subscriptions. We have the models, we have the data sets, okay. So there are a lot many things in Hugging Face. Just to give an idea, like how this Hugging Face, just to give an idea like about the different models in the market. So this is the OpenAI, which is basically commercial models, and these are the open source models from where you can just access the different LLMs in the market, LLMs or the models. Okay, all right. So now, so this is just an overview of open source and commercial models. You can see the competitors as well. Okay, so when I say open source, so some of the models are open source, which is you can download, okay, and you can just access those models using Hugging Face and various techniques. Open source basically it's like you can just contribute to that particular models, okay, if you're in the research. So this is the open source models from the NVIDIA, Meta, okay. So some of the models are open source from this company, which are tech giants, and there are some of the competitors like OpenAI, okay, Mistral. We have the Hugging Face, okay, it comes under the OpenAI, fine. I mean like the open source, okay. So all these companies even provide the open source. So closed, so you can see some like OpenAI even. Uh, so in the closed source, in the sense like it's commercial, okay. So your OpenAI should even come under the commercial, because some of the models which you want to access, it's basically a paid, right? Like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, you can see most of the companies have the open source as well as the closed. So this could not be a right image what I say, okay. So there are companies who provide the open source models as well as the commercials, okay. So this is an overview of like different companies, so you'll get an idea, okay. So what are the different competitors we have in the market, okay. So we have Meta, okay, we have NVIDIA, we have OpenAI, we have Hugging Face, okay. So we have DeepMind, Adobe, okay, Anthropic, okay, that is a cloudy, right? So IBM, Microsoft, okay, so Apple, okay, these are the competitors in the market. And so just to understand, okay, so we want to learn, okay, more about the models. So right now we're in just a beginner stage, okay. We want to understand what actually the models, okay, we'll be learning that in detail. But just to give an overview of, like, we understood like generative AI is basically generating some new data. So what kind of data, right? So what are the different models we have in the market? Okay, so if I use this particular model, this is what I can generate. Okay, to have an overview of that, you can just get into this particular website called artificial analysis. Okay, so if I just let me just show that. If I just get into artificial analysis AI, so here you'll get an overview of all the AI models and APIs. Okay, so let me just open that. Yeah, so here you can see. So based on the different characteristics, like in terms of quality, in terms of speed, in terms of price, okay, you can see the different LLMs. Okay, so let's wait. Let's take some time. Yeah. So in terms of quality, so right now you can see it's from the OpenAI zero preview. Then we have O Mini. So then we have Gemini, which is from Google. Okay, we have Cloudy, Anthropic. Okay, so you can see these are the in terms of qualities. Okay, these are the popular LLMs. So next we in respect to speed. Okay, it's Omni. Then I have Gemini. Okay, then with respect to the price, you can see even though it providing the quality and speed, you can see the price is much, right? So in terms of price, you can start with the Gemini 1.5. Okay. So even you can just compare these LLMs with different categories, like quality evaluations, like in terms of quality, artificial analysis, quality index. Okay, in terms of reasoning and knowledging, because so whatever the prompts you're just giving to the LLMs, okay, whether that particular prompt is being understand by that particular model or not, right? So when ChatGPT was released, okay, so in earlier days, so there was some kind of mistakes that has been done by the ChatGPT, right? So if ChatGPT is trying to give some wrong answers, if try to convince, it used to say it is the right answer, right? So these are some kind of you can say hallucinations, or where the model is being able to tell, okay, some of the wrong answers as right. Okay, so even that is also very important, right? So that LLMs are basically evaluated on various parameters. Okay, that's one of the parameter, like in case whatever the questions we're asking, so based on the reasoning and knowledge, okay, so how the models are performing. Okay, so this is what the one of the evaluation parameter. Scientific reasoning. Okay, so next we have quantitative. Okay, so coding, in terms of coding, okay, there are different models, okay, which is basically performed. Okay, everywhere you can see it's O1 mini, right? So O1 is from the OpenAI. So in terms of communication, okay, so I can just walk through this particular page. Okay, it's very good. Okay, so you can just understand like the various competitors and the various models. Okay, so this is up to date. I mean, like if you try to open this site, okay, so whatever the data right now is saying, it's up to date. Okay, I mean, like it's up to date on 10 December. Okay, so it's a just very good website just to explore. Here we can just explore those things. Fine. So next, yeah, so now what is generative AI? So we have seen some of the applications actually, right? So we understood like generative AI is basically generate a new data based on some training samples. Okay, so whatever the AI application dealing, so somewhere there is a data. Okay, so there is data involved. Because of that data itself, we are able to generate the new data, new content. Fine. So generative AI is basically what? It's a concept or a technique which help us to generate a new content. Okay, and the generative AI model can generate what? It can generate the images, it can generate the text, audios, videos. Okay, so we'll be seeing all those things practically. Okay, don't worry, but this is just an initial class just to have you understanding what is actually generative AI is. So this is what the generative AI models can actually generate. Right. So next, so inside the generative AI, there are two major things. Okay, so one is called generative image models and language models. I hope you can easily guess. Okay, so if that model is generating the image, it comes under the generative image models. And if that particular model is focused more on the text generation or text classification or some kind of text related, it comes under the generative language model. Okay, so this is the different categories you can say within the generative AI. So what is generative image model? So this type of model is basically designed to generate new images based on the training data. Okay, so example like GANs, we have variational auto encoders, okay, which are used to create some realistic images, arts, or even alter the existing images. Okay, so if you're using the Adobe, okay, they already integrated the AI features. Okay, so where you can do a lot of editing. Okay, so all these things are image models, generative image models. Generative language models, so this model generate a text based on the given input or prompt, right? And is used in the application like chatbots, language translations, okay, content creation, summarization. Okay, so again, we'll be learning this in detail. Okay, don't worry, we'll be doing a lot of projects and it's gonna be very interesting, right? So this is the two categories which comes under the generative AI. So now, because I just showed you an example of giving the prompt, right? So let's see like how basically it works. Okay, we start with the prompt, right? So we're gonna enter, okay, write a program, or tell me about something. Okay, so whatever the question, in simple terms, now we understand a prompt is basically a question which we are asking to our LLM, right? So that LLM can be any model, and so basically I'm getting a response. Like I just showed you about the Gemini, right? So I just entered some question, some latest news, the model able to generate the data, and I'm able to see that particular response. Okay, this is how it basically works. Or similarly for the create images as well. So we just tell, okay, this is what the prompt is. Okay, so just create a white angle shot from below the female astronaut. Okay, so the model will process that, and I'm able to generate that particular the model able to generate the particular content, okay, based on the prompt and whatever I've asked it. So even this is the language models, right? So I'm writing some kind of a prompt, like write a conversation between the sun and Pluto to the model, and the model basically generate and give me the response. Okay, so irrespective of whatever the categories is, so somewhere we are generating some new content. Similarly, like if you have some unstructured or text or image data, so I'm just passing that model to just to remove that particular person from the image. You can see it able to remove it. Okay, so this is some of the applications, and so these are the I've just added more applications, like in terms of sales, right? Drafting the sales outreach mails, okay, emails, finance. Okay, so after the chat GPT, okay, so most of the people actually they have just changed their way of working. Okay, so like marketers, okay, content creators, even the ed tech, the people who used to generate the data or the materials. Okay, so now we have a lot of available AI chatbots, right? So where we able to generate the new data, okay, based on our requirements. In terms of marketing, okay, we have to generate marketing ads, right? To test. Okay, then in terms of legal, okay, simply explain the complex regulations. Education, okay, customizing the learning for individual students. In terms of medical, okay, we can read and analyze the medical data. In terms of industrial, we can do automate repetitive tasks for industrial engineering and design. In terms of games and entertainment, we can create 3D models and scenes. Okay, these are some of the real world applications inside the generative AI. So does it mean that it's end of our work? No, absolutely not. It just we are using these generative AI applications in our daily life to make our work easier. Okay, so of course it's just not a replacement. So I can't say that, okay, so I'll just sit simply and everything is done by the generative AI. No, of course. So whatever the commands or whatever the prompts I'm giving it, okay, it's that it's able to generate based on the human prompt, right? So even we call it the prompt engineering. Okay, so nowadays we have the different branch. Okay, so we'll be learning a prompting techniques, so how I can just talk to my LLMs, right? So of course it's not the end of our work. Okay, there are a lot of opportunities. So one thing is like you need to learn these skills. Okay, because going forward, okay, so it's era of generative AI. Okay, and there are lot more advancements in this particular field. Of course, this is what you need to learn. Okay, I mean, like irrespective of the domains you are in, industry you are in, should know this kind of concepts. So yes, so this was all about for today's lecture. Okay, so I'll be uploading on the daily basis. Okay, please try to subscribe, and whatever the doubts is, okay, I'll be attaching the Google Forms. You can just reach me out. Okay, and for the materials, yes, you can just access. You can just see that in the description and try to access all those materials. And any feedback, anything, you just let me know in the Google Form as well. Okay, so this is all about in today's lecture. So I'll be seeing soon in the next lecture. Okay, so see you soon. Bye.